Why deep thinkers are often isolated. Have you ever felt that the more you think deeply about something, the more isolated you become? That as you understand more, people seem less willing to listen? It's not just in your head. In reality, society has always had a fear of deep thinkers. Not because they are wrong, but because they see things others don't want to see. From Socrates to Nietzsche, from Galileo to Tesla, brilliant minds have often been ridiculed, pushed aside, or ignored. Not because they lacked intelligence, but because they challenged the comfort of others. Schopenhauer, one of the most honest philosophers, argued that intelligence is a real burden that isolates those who see the world too clearly. But why does this happen? Why does society resist those who think differently? The answer lies deeply in human psychology. Think about it for a second. When you are near someone who is physically strong, you don't feel weak. You appreciate their strength. When you meet someone who is rich, you might envy them, but you don't feel attacked. These traits are external. We recognize them, but they don't threaten our self-perception. Intelligence, however, works differently. It's deeply tied to our identity. We define ourselves by our thoughts, our beliefs, our understanding of the world. When we meet someone who thinks at a deeper level, someone who questions what we take for granted, we feel it's a direct attack on our identity. Instead of admiring intelligence, many people subconsciously reject it because its presence forces them to confront their own limitations. This is why deep thinkers have historically been marginalized. Their ideas not only challenge existing beliefs, but they challenge egos as well. And people, by nature, are willing to do almost anything to protect their egos from discomfort. Have you ever noticed that when you introduce a deep idea in a casual conversation, it's met with silence or confused stares? Or have you observed how quickly people change the subject when discussions move beyond surface-level topics? It's not a coincidence. It's a defense mechanism. When people encounter a deep thinker, their minds go into self-protection mode. Instead of being curious, they resist. Instead of engaging, they reject. This is why intellectuals, philosophers, and visionaries often find themselves isolated, not because they seek solitude, but because society rejects them. Interestingly, recent studies show that in social circles, trust is often valued more than intelligence. People are drawn to those who project certainty, even if their ideas are superficial. That's why charismatic, yet simple thinkers tend to have more influence than those who think deeply but speak with nuance. History is full of examples of populist leaders, motivational speakers, and influencers who gain popularity by telling people what they want to hear, rather than challenging them to think critically. In contrast, those who question widely accepted beliefs often fail to find a large audience. And so the paradox of intelligence arises. The more someone seeks the truth, the more disconnected they become from the majority. But the question remains, if intelligence is so threatening, is there scientific evidence that people fear it? The answer is yes. Modern neuroscience supports this. Studies show that when people feel intellectually inferior, the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for detecting fear and threats, becomes active. In short, deep thinking is not only intimidating, it triggers a primitive survival response, similar to what we feel when confronted with real danger. But why this activation of fear? The answer comes from our evolution. For most of human history, survival didn't depend on being the smartest person in the room, but on being accepted by the group. Our ancestors lived in tribes, and social harmony meant safety. Being rejected by the group meant death, and isolation meant vulnerability. This is also why our brains are wired to seek social acceptance rather than the pursuit of pure knowledge. Yet, this fear is not without solutions. How can deep thinkers cope with this discomfort? Some philosophers like Schopenhauer recommended solitude as refuge. Instead of trying to fit in with the crowd, they should spend their time creatively, seek like-minded individuals, and continue discovering truths beyond the superficiality of the world. Therefore, instead of wasting time on status games, deep thinkers should seek authentic conversations that nourish their minds. They are the ones who ask the questions that truly matter, and sometimes their solitude is simply the price they pay for the truth. And while this may seem like a burden,
it is also an opportunity to live a life true to one's values, not to the expectations of others.